G'day everybody, welcome to our webinar today. This is going to be a setting up a 3CX on light sail with Breeze Connect. So I'm Ty from Leader, and yeah, it's a very fast class for today. So 30 minutes, get you up and running really quickly. These are the common things that resellers are calling us about to get set up. So why not demonstrate them to everybody and get you all started. So first off today, a few things you'll need in order to set 3CX up on Lightsail. You will need a partner account with 3CX. So a lot of you on the webinar today will have a reseller account that you can use. So you can see here, I've set up a demo account with 3CX. I can see here I'm an Academy partner, and I can go through now and create my try licenses in here. So previously with 3CX, you had to register under your customer's name via the 3CX website, and it was a bit sort of tricky to do. So we'll take you through the new method inside the 3CX partner portal today. We'll take you through setting up an Amazon Light Sail account, okay, and getting this set up. The reason why we're sort of recommending Light Sail a lot more now, and as opposed to say Azure or Google, is the pricing, and we've found it to be quite reliable. We've been testing it and had a lot of resellers testing it. So starting from around about $10 US a month that we recommend, that has the right machine specs to run 3CX, that's a really good starting point there to get your customers set up on. So other cloud providers were that $20, $30 US a month. So Lightsail really does bring that cost down fairly significantly. So yeah, if you're not already a 3CX dealer or 3CX reseller, contact us after the webinar. We'll be shooting out all of the literature and the links to get started with that. And then you can start your journey and start growing your IP business in 2019. So first cab off the rank, what we'll do is we'll register for Amazon Light Sail. So I'll shoot this link out after the webinar, but you can see here, or you can follow me whilst you're watching, there's a hosted PBX Amazon Light Sail link. If you put into the Google machine, setting up Amazon Light Sail 3CX, you'll come across this link here. And basically this gets you set up with a Light Sail account. You'll have to verify your credit card details and go through and get all this happening. So you can see here, we can go along and we can set up our Light Sail account. So I'll click on here and that'll take us across to there. So you can see here over on the in the middle there, I've got a get started for free button. Click on the get started for free. And then I can go through and create my account here. Now, I've already got an account, so I won't take you through signing up an account. I'm pretty sure everyone can cope with that kind of form filling. Once you've got your account, you log into it, and I'll log in here. And this is the sort of nitty-gritty part that some people get confused with and need a bit of help with. So you can see here, this is my Lightsail account. So Lightsail's a simplified version of AWS's traditional cloud platform. And you can see here, it's a nice basic interface with your instances that are running. So your 3CX servers, okay? And all your networking and database stuff here. It's very, very simple to navigate around. If we look at it, how 3CX will be interfacing with Lightsail, it's very important that we get the API set up right. So when we go through the PBX Express tool next, we'll need to make sure all of that stuff's correct. If we go up to here, we look at our AWS account at the top here. You can see I've got my Breeze Connect account here that I've registered, and I've got my SSH keys here, okay? And I've got an advanced button here. You'll need to go, once your account's registered, to the advanced button here, and then to the IAM console, okay? So advanced IAM console, and that'll pop up in a new tab. Once that loads up, this will take us to the area that we can then authorize AWS and 3CX to talk to each other, okay? You'll get a pop-up screen here that says you're accessing the security credentials page. This account gives you unlimited access to AWS resources. We click on continue to security credentials, okay? And then we click on our access keys. Now you can see here that I've got a whole heap of access keys here that allow 3CX to talk to Lightsail, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete these keys that I've created, okay? You'll have no keys in here when you set up your account. and I'm going to create a new access key. The access keys here will be shown, and if I click show access keys here, I'll have 2 key pairs here that I can use. Those keys then are used when I'm setting up my new 3CX instance. Okay, so I'll show you through that now. So you've got a new customer that's come to you. They want a PBX set up. You're going to do the billing yourself and manage all of that. You've got to, they want to use the free license to start with, and you want to just handle it all yourself. You don't want them getting emails. You don't want them, having to forward you things. You just want to get it done really quickly. If we go across to here now and we go to keys inside my 3CX login, you'll see that it'll bring up a new button. And a lot of you are using it now. Some aren't, or some aren't aware of it. You'll see the Create Try License over here on the right-hand side. Once I click on Create Try License, it'll bring up a new form, and you'll see this pop up on your screen now with your customer's details, okay? So we're going to register a new company. We're going to call it John's Trucks, okay? And we'll put in the John's surname here. We'll put in John Doe, okay? Company name, we'll put in here, John's Trucks, okay? Country, we'll put down as Australia. And then we can go putting in a phone number. So I'll put in our number here at Leader, which is +61 3 90 37 3037. Beautiful. Customer's location, we'll put in here Australia, and the customer's email, we'll use a different email address. I'll use here, I'm trying to think of put one in. I'll use Ty at here. All right, now we put in number extensions 0 to 25, okay, and this customer has agreed to be registered. So you can see I've filled that out. Unfamiliar keyboards, I made a spelling mistake at the top. Fix that up. Okay, John's Trucks, we've got all the details in here. Click on OK. This will then go to 3CX and set you up with a try license or a license key, okay? So you can see that's the new license key I've got there. This is a lot faster than before. Before you had to register, have it forwarded across to you. It was kind of a bit of a painful process, where now it's just so fast and so easy. So we can take the PBX Express and click on that button here. And this will pre-fill everything in, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So I've got Australia as my language at the top here, or my region. I've got the time zone here being +10 for Melbourne. And I pick my language here. So Standard English will give you the American prompt sets. Scroll down the bottom, it's not in alphabetical order, and pick the Australian prompt sets to get Helen from 3CX being your provider for prompts. Scroll across and click next. Okay, now I get a new option here. My host name, I'm going to use John's Trucks. I've got my correct domain group set. I've picked Australia from the list here, okay, and I'll click next. I always pick 3-digit extension links as a bare minimum, okay? And we've explained why in other webinars. We've got another fast class happening in a fortnight where we go more into that, okay? So start with 3 if you're not sure, or I'll call us at the help desk and we can help you pick what's suitable for your environment. Next on that one. Now, here's where we get to pick what hosting provider we're going to use. And you'll see here that Lightsail now appears in the list. So we'll pick Lightsail. And here's where we'll get asked these 2 questions. We'll get asked for our access key ID and our secret access key, all right? Now, that was presented to us, okay, back here. Access key ID, I'll grab this one now, okay, back into 3CX, okay, then I'll go back into Amazon, and copy my secret access key, okay? So I've got all of that. Now, make sure you don't copy any spaces at the end, which I nearly did, okay? That will make your API call or API access invalid, and you'll receive an error message if that happens. Paste that in here, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Click Next. That'll talk back now to AWS and query AWS or AWS Lightsail as to what regions I should set my PBX or my system up in. And you can see here that I've got a few options. I've got Virginia in the US, which is no good for latency. We'll pick Sydney from the drop-down list. And then we've got our instance type. So these are considerably cheaper than anything Google or Azure have at the moment in terms of instance types. Now, we've done some testing on the micro and the small. The micro is very, very small, and the RAM is really on the limit of a smaller system. So if you've got 2 or 3 extensions, the micro instance is probably going to be okay. But for the extra $5 for a business phone system, we'd recommend starting at small, okay, and not really chancing your client's quality or client's experience with for $5 a month. It seems quite pointless. So pick your small instance, and then we'll click finish, okay, accept and install. That will now go ahead and perform the setup tasks when talking to Lightsail. So you can see there, I've made a fictitious email address I've got in there. Okay, I've got my johnstrucks.3cx.com.au, and in 9 minutes and 50 seconds, I'll have a PBX ready to use. So how fast is that? Your client calls you, their phone system's down, they want to move to a different system. In 10 minutes, you can have that set up ready to go. So as that's counting down, here's one I prepared earlier over here. You can see here, this is our Leader demo 3CX that is running on Lightsail as well. And I've got the instance set up here with all of my dashboard, everything ready to go. So people ring us all the time about setting up a PBX and going through this part of it. What I want to take you through now in this fast class, and it's all in the name. We want to be really, really fast with this. Not a lot of detail, but giving you guys a really good starting point to getting your system up to scratch in terms of being able to make and receive calls and being able to provision extensions. Okay, so all of the fundamentals. If you're watching this here now, you can see that the machine is being prepared. I've got an IP address here that's been allocated. You can watch the progress of it over here. So if you go back to your Lightsail here, you can see that my second PBX is being set up. This is a really good way of watching to see whether it's working, how it's going, okay, and keeping an eye on it. Now, each of these instances, unlike Google, you don't have to create a new project or create a new partition. You can just keep them all in the one here. So this is a really simple way, and I think Lightsail will have to be the easiest of the cloud platforms at this stage to getting you up and running really quickly. So you've got your PBX set up here. What do you start doing first? Okay, so the really important thing to do is to focus on getting your front page green, okay? So making sure that your backups here are turned on, okay? And that you're backing up everything, all right? Now, we don't really recommend backing up the call recordings, but at least back up your voicemails, your system prompts, all the things that make your system unique that are going to be very hard to restore after the fact, okay? Now, the biggest catch that we see a lot of, and I had a few customers calls today, as they do every day, that their instance has crashed or they've had a problem with the hosting and the backups are on the VM itself, okay? Make sure that you're using your backup location item here, selecting Google Drive and authorizing a Google Drive account that you share as well, and putting subfolders in each of those in the root directory of your Google Drive to back your customers up. Then if anything happens, you can restore directly from Google Drive without any headaches, okay? So please make sure you do that. It's very important. Okay, so the next thing we need to look at here is the dashboard again. The firewall check when you first set up your Google or your Lightsail account may be red, okay? That's because the API set it up. Run it through and double check that your system has been set up properly, okay? So if you run through your firewall check now, that will go through and check if the PBX ports are open properly. What we highly recommend you do too is go back into Lightsail and disable the SSH access to your VM, okay? So you can see here I've got a static IP for this instance type, and I can go through and I can adjust the firewall rules. I'll find it back here, to block certain ports or to change the ports so they don't have the they don't have the SSH port open. So you can see here that SSH is open. Go through and remove the SSH component so that you don't have your firewall opening all of these ports up into the PBX. So we recommend, and I've removed SSH off this one, you'll see SSH on port 22. Remove it and protect yourself from vulnerabilities in terms of people connecting to your PBX via the console, which is something you obviously don't want. Once your firewall check's done completely, you can scroll down here and you notice that it's all green, so happy days there. We'll go back to the dashboard and then we'll go through and we'll check what else we need to do. Now, I'm going to set up a Breeze trunk on this really quickly, and I want to demo this to everyone, how fast this is, okay? So you can see here I'm logged into the Breeze Connect portal, and I'm going to go set up my first end user, okay? So I'm going to go through here now. I'm going to set up John's Trucks, okay? And I'll put in my fake email address, put in a fake password, okay? And I'm going to put in here a brand new trunk. So go ahead, brand new trunk, put my ABN number in at 61, okay? And I'm going to put my address in, okay? So my address here is going to be 123 Main Road in Eltham, okay? So put that in here, done. That will pre-fill everything in here, okay? And I can go through, put my name in here, okay? And I'll put in my details. Bang, add user. That will go there, add a new user and a new trunk. All I need to do now is this, okay? I need to go back up to the top, go to VoIP, then go to trunks, and you can see here that I've got my fake password trunk set up here, and you can see I've got a trunk ID, trunk password, and if I zoom out a little bit to make it fit on the screen, I've got something ready to rock and roll. All I need to do, go into settings, and I need to pick what plan I'm going to put this customer on. They're going on a one-line saver plan, okay? I'm going to check all my other settings in here. I'm going to use A-Law as my default codec, okay? I'm going to assign the customer a telephone number. Back through here. This page can take up to 30 seconds to load. It's doing a query on the database with all the available numbers. If you see it spitting up the top here or giving you an error message as to it's waiting, just be a little bit patient until it's finished loading. And then all the available numbers that are pending in the Breeze portal to be allocated, the query will finish that off and have that ready for you to look at. So that's done, as we can see. Pick our drop-down list. We've got John's Trucks. Pick a telephone number. Just grab the first available number and click Assign DID. So all I need to do now to add that into Breeze, grab the phone number, go back into the PBX and click on SIP Trunks. I'm going to remove this demo trunk I had earlier, okay, and I'll add a new one in. So add SIP trunk, pick Australia from the drop-down list. You'll notice this looks a bit different. My demo PBX is version 16, okay. You can see that there's some slight cosmetic differences. Pick Breeze Connect from the list and paste the main trunk number, being the telephone number I selected. So Australia, Breeze Connect, telephone number, okay. So then all I need to do is go back into my PBX here and go back to my trunks. You'll see here that I've got a trunk ID, which I'm going to copy to the clipboard. Okay, paste that one in here. And I've got a trunk password, which I'm going to grab here now. Go back to here and paste it in. With those details now, click OK, click refresh. That trunk is ready to go. That phone number is connected to that new PBX. So getting the fundamentals of that sorted out, back into the trunk, back down the bottom, and then select where I'm going to route the calls. So you can see here that we've got some tests set up here. As part of the webinar now, I'm going to show you how to register your first phone, okay? Back up to the top, back to extensions. Now, you can see here that I've labeled all our extensions from 100 upwards. The way to go with this is to do it from 100 or 200. Don't use 000 because the emergency services call won't go through properly. Add an extension, make my new extension here, 105. I'm going to call it webinar extension. Put a fake email address in here. Okay, go ahead and put a mobile or a number in here if you want to do that. You can see here in 16, I can provision the soft phone extension directly on my phone. Okay, so those of you who are quick in the webinar might want to chuck that on your phone. Go back up to voicemail here. All the default settings underneath here will suffice. So leave them alone at this stage, okay? Don't change those. The biggest one you're going to want to look at is the phone provisioning part. So a lot of customers will get this part a little bit confused. All we need to do is click Add, pick the phone we're using, okay, from the list, put the MAC address in. Now I'll go back to one I prepared earlier, okay, here. You'll see that I've got a Yealink T46, okay, and my provisioning method is stun. Now, stun means that the phone will connect to the PBX via the WAN interface of the client site, okay? So the PBX, the phone is not local to the PBX. You can see up the top here, this what always catches everyone out. Make sure you use the options and disallow use outside of the LAN, okay? And the block tunnel connections, make sure they're both unticked. If you have a tick against disallow use outside of the LAN, then anything outside of the LAN won't be able to connect, which happens to be, since we're setting it up on the cloud, every single phone, because you're not going to be in Google or Amazon's data center sitting there with a Cat5 cable into your phone. You are not local to the phone or local to the PBX. So untick both of those. Then we've got our rest of our phone provisioning here. We've got our RTP ports and our SIP ports, which in our document we show you how to stagger. So we'll flick that out after the webinar as well, the best practice for here. Go through and select your phone options, okay? We've also got the best practice for those as well. Making sure the backlight we leave always on. The screensaver we try and leave on 6 hours. You don't want that flicking on and off while you're trying to use your computer. It can be quite distracting. Go down. We recommend A-Law only. Remove all your other codecs here to avoid transcoding. And you've got your basic extension set up here. So you've got a Yealink T46 phone configured via stun. Obviously, we've got other options here like session border controller, which a lot of people are doing with 4G. It's very popular. Okay. You've got your MAC address of the phone, your SIP ports, which you've set up to our guide, and you've got the correct codec settings. All you need to do now under options is determine whether the PBX delivers the audio or not. If it's stun, PBX delivers audio needs to be on for local audio between handsets to work correctly. If you're using SBC, that can be left the way it is. So scroll back up to the top and you've configured your first extension, okay? All we need to do now is put some buttons on the phone. So you can see through here, go back into here, go over to your BLF keys. Now, these are something that can be provisioned in bulk. So if you select using the control key on your keyboard and clicking, just like in a normal Windows environment, clicking on all your extensions, click on edit, go to your BLF keys, and you can bulk provision your BLF keys to all your extensions. So if you're doing 20, 30, 40, 50 extensions, that can be quite laborious to do it one by one. So doing it individually is sort of not recommended. Do it in bulk like that, and off you go. All right, so we've set up an extension. We've got that working. What's the next thing we need to do? We need to look at our inbound rules and have a look at our routing, okay? Now, we're not going to go through heaps of routing today, but fundamentally, a lot of people get caught up on the inbound rules in here. You can see that the SIP trunk here itself's got a rule. Think of this as the default rule for the trunk, okay? The trunk's only got one DID registered on it. Any additional DIDs would go in here, okay? So if we went back into the Breeze portal and we thought what we'll do is we'll assign another phone number, okay, to this customer. I'll go back in, wait for the page to load, and I can assign another phone number to that customer. That's when I can put that number, which I'll make a fake number up now, into here, okay? As soon as I do that and click OK, in my inbound rules, I can set a DID rule up here to say that number here, the new number, the 48, I'm going to call it Ty's direct number, okay? And I can say that particular number there is my direct number. It always needs to go through to the test extension, okay? Click OK, and you can see that's there. That's ready to go. So having your inbound rules set up properly, a lot of people call us and say, oh, my phones are going nowhere. check your inbound rules, make sure that your phone isn't set up just to end the call, that it's set up to go to a particular extension. They're your fundamentals of 3CX. You've got a working phone system and we've got 5 minutes to spare, okay? So you can really see in 25 minutes, you can have a working phone system set up, ready to go, okay? Once you're at this stage here, refer back to our document that we've got. We've got a great document on setting 3CX up to best practice, and then you can go forward and finish off some of the more advanced features of 3CX. You might want to set up your ring groups, call queues, okay? Play around with your call recording, and what a lot of people are doing now is setting up the office hours to suit your Christmas and your holiday period. So going through and doing all of that stuff, you can have a customer's phone system set up in 30, 40 minutes, okay? And that's what we're saying to customers now. If you really focus on standardizing your setups and documenting them well, then this process here is very fast now, thanks to 3CX and the upgraded partner portal. You can see here that my PBX on Lightsail is done. So installing 3CX and done. Please make sure that you back up this information here. So click show on the PBX credentials, back them up, keep them somewhere safe, because if you lose them off this page, you may not be able to log back in again, okay? Because if you haven't received the email to the fake email which I put at the top, but your email there, if you haven't received that, you'll have a PBX set up in Lightsail that you can't use. So go ahead, back those up, keep them in your password management system, and then you can go ahead and get your clients set up that way. So super important to obviously keep your documentation nice and neat. Another thing we need to do, and Clinton's just given me a good example here, is outbound rules. So we're going to here. Now you can see I've got a whole heap of outbound rules to make my calls out. These are in the Breeze Connect setup guide as well. So thanks, Clinton. I nearly forgot about that. The outbound rules here are critical so your phone system knows how to dial out or how to make a call externally. All of these settings in this guide is in our Breeze Connect Fast Start guide, which we'll shoot out to everyone after the webinar. This is an updated guide on the codecs and outbound rules you need to dial out, but they're as simple as determining what each function does. So emergency services, calls to 000 with a 3-digit extension length, we need to route it via Breeze Connect and prepend it with 61 and click OK. Our next rule we set up would be local calls with a digit length of 8. Go ahead and route them via Breeze Connect, okay? And if I make that a bit bigger here, strip digit 0613. These aren't confusing, these are all in the guide. So if you follow the Breeze guide or give us a call and we'll go through with you, these are the best way to go. So I'll just jump to some questions here. I've thanks Clinton for pointing that out. The fake password is strong from Christopher. Yeah, it sure is. Video will be available afterwards for people to download. Is Lightsail the only way to identify different customers' instances, or is tagging a better way? Good question from Matt. So if you go back into Lightsail here, you could go ahead and you could rename or you could tag the instance here, depending on what your client's name was. So I'm pretty sure that would give you the same options here. If I go up to there and click on the home button, there'll be a way to tag them in here or to manage them. So if I click on that one there, I should be able to tag or name it. Manage tags, here we go. So you could go through here and you could tag your customer. So if you've got a client ID or something that you use or links back to ConnectWise or whatever management system you're using, you could go ahead and tag them in there that way. Okay, the migration process. This is the best part about 3CX. They've fixed the migration process so well. If you back your PBX up, so I'll show you if you guys want to go ahead and move and get it all done, this is how you do it. Go into 3CX, go back to your dashboard here, and back your PBX up. So if you go into here to your backups, okay, do a full backup. I'll just make this screen a bit smaller. And once you've got your full backups, okay, you'll have a backup file here. If you go across now to PBX Express here, and I'll go back to the PBX Express, just duplicate this page. Here, I'll go to pbxexpress.com. They've added a new function in, restore 3CX in the cloud. If you click on that button here, okay, and then click on next, all you need to do is dump the backup URL onto either Dropbox for Business or OneDrive and paste it in here. It will then read that backup file and it will go ahead and deploy your PBX in the new location. Just a word of warning, this is how you need to approach it. You need to back your PBX up that you're using at the moment, then shut it down, then you need to proceed with restoring it. You can't have them both running at the same time. You'll confuse the 3CX DNS server as to where your FQDN is pointing to. So the process would be, if you were looking at backing up Leader Demo and moving it somewhere else, you'd back the PBX up here, okay? You do a full backup. All right, so I'm going to call it Move Me. Click OK. That will then back the PBX up. Let's say I had this PBX hosted on Google Cloud and I wanted to move it to AWS or Lightsail. I've got my link here. I'll download my PBX download. You can see here, it downloads fairly quickly. Once that's downloaded, I'll put it on Dropbox and I'll create a public link for it that way. Okay, so this file here, I'll dump it up to Dropbox, and then what I'll do is go back to here and I'll paste that URL in here. But before I do that, I'll shut down the PBX. So if this was running in Google Cloud, I would shut that down, okay? Then I'd proceed with my restore. So you can pretty much allow 10 to 15 minutes of downtime in that situation if you're moving it. So, after hours, you can, really work through that, no big deal. Process, Richard, to move from AWS to Lightsail, same process, okay? So regardless of where you're moving to and from, it's always the same process. Question from Christopher. Is there any way within 3CX we can tell a connected handset to upgrade its config or reprovision without doing it from the handset? Yeah, super easy there, Chris. All you need to do, go to 3CX, go into phones, okay? All your phones will be listed here. Click on your phone. If I clicked on my phone there, pretend, and click on reprovision, okay? And that will go ahead and do that. Question from Luke, do you have a blank 3CX template for the outbound rules? Yeah, we do inside the Breeze Connect setup document. We'll circulate after the webinar. In terms of the outbound rules here, you can't import or export them yet, okay? So when that functionality comes in, we could have an import rule that you can just dump them in quickly. At this stage, we can't. It's a manual process, but there's only 5 rules there or 4 rules, so not really too cumbersome to set those up. Before we finish up, does anyone else have any questions or anything they may think would be helpful for us to circulate on getting started with Lightsail and Cloud? Well, thanks, guys, for joining us today for the first Fast class. We've got another one coming up at the end of the month on the last Wednesday there. So we're going to be going through the security setup and the best routing features and setups for your routers and call flow, etc. in 3CX. Aaron will be hosting that one. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, and we look forward to working with you throughout 2019. Cheers.